New today, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth announcing another airstrike on a suspected drug boat in the Caribbean. Hegseth says all 3 people on board were killed and called them narco-terrorists. He did not provide any evidence for his claims, but it is the 15th strike since early September. Democrats say they're getting left in the dark.
This document needs to be shared with every member of the Senate this week, so that as we get into this discussion about war powers, we've got the basis of how the administration is claiming that it's legal.
We have exquisite intelligence about these strikes, and I can't get into the classified parts, but that information is well known. It is very reliable.
Meantime, President Trump says he hasn't approved striking alleged narco-terrorists on Venezuelan soil.
There are reports that you are considering strikes within Venezuela. Is that true?
No.
That you made a decision on that?
No, it's not true.
Joining me now, MSNBC international affairs analyst and former U.S. ambassador to Russia, Michael McFaul. He, of course, also the author of the new book, Autocrats versus Democrats, China, Russia, America, and the New Global Disorder. Welcome, my friend. So walk us through what is happening between the U.S. and Venezuela and how the rest of the world is viewing it.
Well, we're taking unilateral military actions against narco-terrorists. That's their phrase, not mine. And the rest of the world, including the U.S. Senate, you just quoted Senator Warner, don't know who they are. They don't know that they're narco-terrorists. We just have to trust the exquisite intelligence that the speaker just talked about. And I just think this is appalling. I want to be as blunt as I can. This does not serve America's national interests in the long run because the rest of the world sees us as just acting in a unilateral way. We're not sharing this information with anybody. It's best when you go to war that you have the UN Security Council resolution and you have the U.S. Senate supporting you. That's what George H.W. Bush had when he pushed Saddam Hussein out of Kuwait. That's the best. It's second best if you have the Senate with you, as his son, George W. Bush, had in invading Iraq, even though that was very contentious. It's also better to at least have a UN Security Council resolution, as we did when I worked for President Obama when we used force against Libya. Right now, we have none of those conditions. We just have to believe that these are people that should be killed. And I just think this is not the right way for Americans to act in the world. And I know that the rest of the world doesn't like it.
Yeah, let alone the fact that it seems like some Republicans in key positions know exactly who these narco-terrorists are, but they're leaving the Democrats completely in the dark. What that's about, I can't figure out. But when you have the United Nations condemning the recent deadly U.S. strikes on alleged drug smuggling vessels, saying these attacks, again, reflecting what you're saying, that they are, quote, unacceptable, that they violate human rights law, will UN condemnation make any difference? Could any country or international entity pressure Trump to stop targeting these boats?
Probably not in the short run, because we have the power to do so, and they're continuing to do it. But I want to talk about the long-term negative implications for that, for our national security interests, for American national security interests. He always talks about America first. I want to put America first. When we do this the way we're doing it now, people can't stop us. Other countries can't stop us. Our allies can't stop us, but they don't like it. And when we will need them for real security challenges, for instance, how to contain China, how to deal with Russia and Europe, our allies aren't just going to go along with us. So I think that's the part that the Trump administration just doesn't get. When we act like bullies, when we act like cowboys, we act unilaterally here, we can, because we have the power to do it against these people on these boats. But then when we go and ask our allies to help us for things that really matter, and I think, dealing with China and Russia in the 21st century, that's what I just wrote my book about. That's what really matters for the long term. They might not go along with us.
So that's going to bring me then to this question with President Trump and that high-stakes meeting this week with Chinese President Xi Jinping. Those two agreed to a one-year trade truce. The president called this meeting a great success, but was any tangible forward movement achieved, or did the truce create a holding pattern?
Well, first, let's remember why there was a trade war, because President Trump initiated it. He was the one that put tariffs on the Chinese, and they responded by cutting off, bringing in our agricultural exports and our chips, and then threatening critical minerals to withdraw them. And we learned very tragically, I think, this week that China has cards to play too in these kinds of games, of tit-for-tat games. And so we're basically back to the status quo, although with one big caveat. The world has now learned that when President Trump plays a game of chicken with powerful countries like China, they push back and shows that we're weak. It's one thing to blow ships out of the Caribbean where we're strong, but when you play this bullying, coercive, unilateral strategy with countries as strong as China, you lose. When we lost in the game of chicken, and I think that has implications for our reputation around the world for years to come.
You know, in your new book, you say that China is a challenge for the U.S., but not an existential threat. So explain that. And is President Trump handling China and Xi Jinping the best way to benefit our country?
Well, in the book, I go through all the data on the balance of power between China, Russia, the United States, and competing ideologies. The book's called Autocrats versus Democrats for a reason, because like the Cold War, there is this ideological struggle underway. But when I hear politicians use the phrase existential, and I have a hard time saying that word, that means literally that they want to blow us off the face of the earth. That means that they want to threaten our existence. And I looked at the data hard for years. I just don't see those intentions. And even if that's what Xi Jinping is dreaming about, which I don't think is true, they don't have the capabilities to do it. So rather than overestimating the threat, we have to deal with it. It's the biggest national security threat for the 21st century, without question. But we need to deal with it, I think, in a more rational, sustained way, and not in this hyperbolic way that we will not be able to achieve our objectives.
Okay. Josh, my director, let's put the screenshot of that book up one more time and show everyone in case they're interested. Michael McFaul, the author of Autocrats versus Democrats, China, Russia, America, and the New Global Disorder. Michael, my friend, thank you so much. We'll see you again soon.